Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to share more with you about my land journey in Splinterlands. I have acquired many more plots of land because I want to be self-sufficient with respect to feeding my troops, my workers, I need my own grain production. So I made a significant acquisition, putting a good chunk of change into Gank land to acquire yet more land. And Gank absolutely took care of me, made sure I could get the plots that I needed. Was a gentleman about it, so I'm happy to say that if you guys are looking for plots of land, I think you can reach out to him. I can't promise he's got more to sell, but I can tell you that I bought 15 plots of land this week, and I'd like to show you what I got. Let's get into it. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel1258. I cover Splinterlands because this game changed my life, and I think it could change yours. Land is this exciting piece of what that might mean for me. Like, I'm so pumped, and I've done recent videos talking about how I'm excited about land even now in its current state, and I know land is not where it's going to be. I know land is in some sense click and collect, as people will say. You pop in here, you go to your production tabs, you look at your plots, harvest all, there's my grain, go ahead and click, and all I gotta do is click and collect, right? There's nothing to it. Well, it's actually more complicated than that. I don't want to rehash this fight, but I'm just going to say it's one thing to click this and claim my research or my SPS, but it's an entirely different thing to think through how I best and most efficiently run my plots of land. And then not only now, but how do I think through land 2.0 when grain is not the only food source? Maybe I want to be able to make my own food. Maybe I want to be self-sufficient. Maybe maybe I want to upgrade the monsters I have on my land. Well, then all of that is a thoughtful investment process that needs to be very strategically planned out. So that is part of the game. And I think if you don't see that, you're missing something. So for me, land is exciting even now, but I absolutely look at the future and I say things are going to get better. Even though I like it as it is, even though I'm putting money into it now, I'm hopeful for it now, I'm enjoying the rewards today. Absolutely, this will be something even bigger in my mind in the future. And as we see the grain market come to fruition, as we see the 50 new resources come to land, I think we start to see a radical growth in interest, not just in Splinterlands land, but in Splinterlands the game. I've talked briefly about how the SBS liquidity pools impact attention we receive within our game. If these liquidity pools have very high payouts, APR of 18 is not bad, man. That's holding two essentially stable coins, DEC and USDC. Same over here, DC DAI. Relatively stable, right? Both of them, and you got 14%. The thing about these pools is that the APR is based upon the SPS price. If SPS pumps, these APRs pump. If the APR pumps, the liquidity will pump, meaning more and more dollars are being invested in because they're going to chase after those APRs. And so you see what happens is SPS pumps, investment in the pool pumps, SPS pumps more because they had to buy SPS to get into the pool. They had to, not only that, but they had to buy SPS to burn it to create DEC to get in the pool. And so it's this cycle. And I think when you put that picture together and you start, we're activated something like 20% of the plots of land in Splinterlands. But man, what if we get to 40, 50, 60, 100? At some point in the future, I see these as not just probabilities, but likelihoods. And so that whole picture just breathes optimism to me. So yes, I acted and I went ahead and having my recent conversation with Gathering around how important land will be, specifically the plots of land that can produce grain. And that's not all of them. If you don't know, it's lakes, rivers, bogs, and plains. And so you're talking 4 different types of land out of 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 different types of land exist, and only 4 of them are going to produce grain. And so yes, it's true that when we get to land 2.0, grain isn't going to be the only potential food source. You'll be able to actually have food. So it's conceivable that the marketplace might allow, right now I need about 10 plots of land to produce enough grain to feed 20 plots of land. But maybe when food is an option, that will have a higher productivity or a higher sort of satisfaction rate, and I'll need less of it. And maybe that'll feed more people. It's possible. The efficiency of that economy might be different. All I'm saying is I want to be more prepared, not less. I want to future-proof myself now. I said to you at the beginning of the video, I think there's excitement in thinking through the economy and preparing for the future now. I'm not waiting for land to be its full self. I'm not waiting for, even 2.0 will not be its full self. That's going to be a step in the road. I don't want to wait for things to become reality. I want to plan to the best of my ability with the expectations that I can see and the things I can look at now. I want to kind of prepare. And I think that's available to us. And as I look at this, I see that there is opportunity specifically in rivers. Here, I'll show you now. These are my rivers. I only had one river and one lake, I think. And as you can see, I now have, what is that? 7 lakes, 5 rivers, plains. I got a couple plains. Where's my bogs at? And I got 3 bogs. And so, again, right now I have 38 plots of land. I had 23 before the trade. And so I go 23, I needed half of them to be producing grain. Yeah, and only 2 of my plots were grain producing, truly grain producing. By 2.0, they wouldn't have been able to produce grain at all. And that moment, I'm totally non-self-sustaining, period. Like I cannot possibly. Now I go and I acquire 15 new plots of land that can produce grain. Am I self-sufficient? In some sense, in one sense, I can promise myself that I can support my nations or my lands with that grain. And then you start to begin to think through what food might do. And that probably means fewer of my plots of land could theoretically produce grain. And if I have the other resources with which to make the food, turn the grain into food, maybe I'm self-sustaining with fewer of my resources being poured toward the food. Hard to say. But if so, here's what I know. I know 2 things. One, I'm currently self-sufficient. I have 17 plots out of 38 that are grain producing. I will be self-sufficient at that place. Secondly, if it's more complicated, or if the creation of food in the game enables me to use fewer plots to produce grain and still be self-sustaining, I know that that's not a bad thing. It allows me to grow more, to acquire other plots that don't produce food. And again, I want self-sustainability. And so if my 17 food producing or grain producing plots can support 50, let's go. If I can along the way acquire even more food productivity or maybe more grain producing plots, I'd like to get to 100 or beyond. So I'm just saying, I'm trying to future-proof what I'm doing within Splinterlands land because I see this as being truly exciting because of the gameplay mechanics that they've already talked about, but also more that we expect to come. Boss battles, they've talked about being tied up in this. You also have to consider the Praetoria, the secret of Praetoria. You also have to look at the Ancient Runes. The Ancient Runes reconstruction project, the secret of Praetoria itself, the interplay across liquidity pools for these 50 different resources. We haven't scratched the surface about what this could be, but there's indicators of where it could go. And if you walk in the confidence that I do, that's why I start to say the game within the game is seeing the writing on the wall and then trying to prepare for where you think this is going. And that's why investment in plots of land that can help me be more self-sustainable, not likely fully self-sustaining, right? That's almost certainly not the reality. But man, if I can support myself with grain, that's one thing I don't need to worry about. It feels very base. In fact, it's like I can feed my troops, I can produce grain. Even if all I could do would be produce grain, I could have some resource that I sell into the system. But I think I'm setting myself up beyond that reality where I'll be more self-sustainable than many of you. And it's in part because I'm thinking these things through. So I'm just creating this content, one, to update on where I'm at. I've excitedly acquired 15 new plots of land, and they're all in region 23, Baxton. And as you can see, we're all over the place here. Let's go to I think the writing's on the wall, man. I think there's something special happening right now, and I think most people are missing it. And so we're spread out across various tracks, but that doesn't matter because I'm within one region. And I am aiming at coming online before 2.0, but we are not there. To be, I guess, perfectly clear, I bought 15 new plots and I've activated 5 of those 15. And they're in various states of development as we speak, under construction, under construction, under construction. Oh, this one's ready. But yeah, we're getting there, man. We're getting there, and we're going to keep growing, because I think this is something that could be life-changing. I talked about Splinterlands has changed my life, and I think it might change yours. To me, this is part of how it actually I might be able to leverage what it's already done in my life and magnify that in a really big way. Now, that's speculation, but I'm excited enough to put my money where my mouth is, and that's what this represents. So if that sounds interesting, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Follow along on my journey with land, with Splinterlands, with other blockchain-based video games. There are a number of them that I'm testing out or trying or having some fun with and putting some money into. So stick around. Have an amazing day. God bless.